Yo, what's up, family? Before we start the video, please leave a like, subscribe, and share it in everyone as you can. Just shoot out there a little bit more. With that being said, let's get right into the video. And we here, second round, Celtics versus Knicks. First game on Monday. Hey, don't you dare come here with your shoes on. Get comfortable. Respect the space. Of course, I got my little black book here. Let me turn to the right. First, of course, just like the first round against Orlando, we're going to go straight numbers for the first half of this video. Not half, but first part. And then we're going to go film sessions for the second part. So the Knicks offense, of course, is much better than the Orlando Magic offense. I don't even have to say that. But let's just go through some quick numbers here. In the regular season, they averaged 115.7 points per game, which is 9th, 27.5 assists, which is 11th. So a really big thing with their offense is they love to shoot from 2-point range. They average 30.8 2-point makes per game in the regular season. That was third in the NBA. And attempts, they were 6th with 55.1. So a guy like Karl-Anthony Towns, who does shoot his fair share of threes, but if you have a guy like Jalen Brunson, who primarily does a lot of his work in the short to intermediate area, that sounds like you're a quarterback. But nonetheless, the Knicks don't have like super high volume three guys. I'm pretty sure Karl-Anthony Towns is attempting the most threes. But against the Celtics, he doesn't attempt that many, so we'll get to that later. But yeah, only 12.6 to 3-point makes per game, which was 24th in the league. 34.1 3-point attempts, which was 27th in the league. But they do shoot a cool percentage, just under 37%, which was 8th in the league. But from mid-range, of course, we talked about a guy like Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns in that post area. Sometimes he can shoot that mid-range jumper. The Knicks averaged 4.5 field goals made per game in the mid-range area, which was 5th in the NBA. 10.3 field goal attempts in the mid-range, which was 6th, and 43.7% from the mid-range in the regular season, which was 5th. Of course, what you guys came in for is the stats against the Celtics. So we're going to compare their overall regular season stats to how they fared against the Celtics. Of course, they were 0-4 against us this season. The first thing I had is that the Celtics controlled the pace against them. The Celtics made the Knicks play 4 pace points slower than they usually did in the regular season. So they average 108 points. Why am I doing that? They only average 108 points per game, down from 115 in the regular season. Shot 47%, which is solid. 21.3 assists against us, which is like 6 less than their average in the regular season. About the same amount of threes attempted and made, 11.3 versus us. It was 12.6 in the regular season. 32 3-point attempts, about 34 in the regular season. And as far as the 2-point makes and the 2-point attempts, they were basically identical. And the Knicks had an overall offensive rating of 117 in the regular season. Against the Celtics, it was 113. So the Celtics like forced them to tone it down just a little bit on the offense side of the ball. Now for some player stuff, Brunson did his thing regardless, right? He averages 26 points in the regular season on 48, 38, 82 splits. Averaged 26.8 against us, but he shot much better. Shot 53, 43, and 100 from the free throw line. So we got to find a way to make him less efficient. He did average 2 less assists, so he's not creating as much, but he's shooting really efficient against us, even against a guy like Jrue Holiday and the stuff that we do defensively, which I'll talk about later. But Karl-Anthony Towns, right? This is the guy that we have neutralized in these 4 games. He averages 24.4 and he averaged 24.4 in the regular season, was down to 19.8. And even that is inflated because in the first 3 games that we played them, we held him to 15 points, right? That last game, he had like 34, something like that. So that kind of got that average up a little bit. But the Celtics did a really good job throughout the season, balling up Karl-Anthony Towns. In the regular season, he shot 52, 43, 83 splits. And against us, he shot 53, 64, 77. So he okay, you hear the percentages, right? He shot 2 less threes against us, right? And the 64% from 3 is only like 2 attempts, right? So if he's taking the threes, he's hitting them. And there's been a lot of talk amongst the Knicks community of like how Tom Thibodeau and how the team uses Karl-Anthony Towns. One of the best shooters we've ever seen at the 5 position. Just some games does not get over 2 3-point attempts, and they're just very stagnant sometimes, and they don't use Karl's probably his best skill as often as they need to. And against top teams, Karl-Anthony Towns, his 3-point attempts go down against the top team. So those top teams are able to do something to the scheme of that team or something to Karl-Anthony Towns or both to like limit probably his greatest offensive skill. Another one, OG Anunoby, averages 18 in the regular season, 9 points per game against the Celtics, right? He goes from 47, 37, 81 splits in the regular season to 29, 13, 75 splits against the Celtics. Per game, he averaged 14 shot attempts and 6 threes in the regular season. Against us, is only 9 shot attempts with 5 threes. So we have really done a good job of not letting OG add his two-way stuff. So of course he's going to be a nuisance on the defensive side of the ball, but we're not letting him become a two-way player because he's just not scoring. Those are the defensively, of course, because this is the big thing against the Celtics, right? So defensively, in the regular season, the Knicks gave up 111.7 points per game, which was the 9th lowest. So pretty good there. They allowed 87.7 field goal attempts, which was 7th. But teams shoot a good percentage against them, which is 47%. That was 25th in the league. They do a nice job at limiting three-point attempts. We know that didn't happen against us. 13.1 3-pointers made per game, which was 10th, and 35.7 attempts, which was 5th in the NBA. Now, do that against the Celtics, right? They allowed 111.7 points in the regular season versus all other teams. The average, of course. They gave up 125 per game against us. We shot 2 more shots than they give up on average. We shot 50% from the field. We averaged 21 made threes and 43.5 attempts. And their defensive rating on the season is a 113. Against the Boston Celtics, it's a 130. Their defensive rating is a 130 against the Celtics in 4 games. So they just flat out could not guard us at all in those 4 games. And we're about to get into the film session. We're going to talk about the offensive game plan for the Celtics and the defensive game plan for the Celtics. We're going to have some film to go with that, and I'm going to just be explaining some stuff, so hope y'all enjoy. So, of course, we know probably the most notable thing on offense is how we go after Karl-Anthony Towns in the high pick and roll and exploiting his drop coverage. Tatum especially does so much damage, and the Celtics have so many different actions they can to go at and exploit Karl-Anthony Towns and just get him moving. So here, we just got a simple high pick and roll after Drew sets the screen and he dives. And then this was the first offensive play. This was the first game of the season. Even though we enjoyed this, I didn't put too much stock in it. But in all 4 games, the Knicks made some changes in a couple of the games, like as the game progressed, like have Karl just show really aggressively. That still didn't work, as now he's out further on Jason Tatum. This drop, they can't play this, bro. They just cannot play this drop if they want to win. Good screen is going to be very imperative in this series, especially with a game record defensively like OG Anunoby. Getting him off of Jason Tatum with those high ball screens, step up screens, and very agile screens should make life a lot easier for us. I mentioned the C's having a lot of actions to exploit the Knicks, so next we're going to look at some of those, starting with the Ram action breakdown I did in the regular season. All right, so here is the start of the Celtics going to their Ram series. So, of course, a Ram screen is an off-ball screen set for somebody to go set a ball screen. So, it's going to be the off-ball screen setter. He sets the screen there for the Miss Kada, and he's going to come over and set this on-ball screen for Jason Tatum. And Joe Mazzulla and the Celtics have talked about their guards are such willing screeners, and it does so much for their offense. Watch what Derek White does to Karl-Anthony Towns. He booms Karl-Anthony Towns. That means that Kada is running into a screen freely, right? Now, again, Karl-Anthony Towns he can't see what's happening right now. As soon as he sees Tatum is already gone, so now he has to feel like he has to rush over there. Tatum knows that with this amount of space, Karl would think that a pull-up 3 is coming. So as you watch Tatum, he's gonna hesitate right there. That's all he needs. That hesitation to pull up 3, Karl-Anthony Towns is gonna sell out. He missteps. You see he has to do a big jump step, whatever that is, and he gets another dunk. All right, so the Celtics go to Ram action again. You got Derek White setting the off-ball screen for Kada. Kada does a nice job of juking out Karl-Anthony Towns a little bit. He thinks that he's going to go to this side. He ends up going to this side, so that catches Karl-Anthony Towns off guard, and he's already behind to start this. Then he gets screened. Then he assumes that Kada is going to set the screen on this side, so that's where he goes. Kada actually sets the screen on this side of Mikal Bridges. Watch Karl-Anthony Towns. You see he's already on this side, so he's already in the wrong. Kada sets the screen on that side, which means, again, Karl-Anthony Towns has to go over and then guard Jason Tatum. That's not a recipe for success. He gets over there, but then Jason Tatum gets past him. That's another mismatch that we didn't even talk about. So now Karl-Anthony Towns, who isn't the greatest rim protector, but he's still a center. He's still an active big in the paint sometimes. But after Derek White sets this on-ball screen, he's gonna just go to the dunker spot. Derek White just goes right to the dunker spot. So now Jalen Brunson, once Tatum gets past Karl-Anthony Towns, the guy protecting the rim for the Knicks is Jalen Brunson. So when that happens, Tatum could have just went up, but Jalen Brunson steps all the way up off of Derek White, the pass, the drop down, and the layup. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So just go right back to Ram action. Kada comes out on this side, but then he's gonna twirl over here and try to set the screen. Karl-Anthony Towns actually does a nice job of getting over there in time, but again, it's just so tough to come over and then guard Jason Tatum as he's going downhill. And this time, instead of Derek White being in the dunker spot, which he was right here, he is now on the wing, and Jalen Brunson decides to help, which, I mean, I guess he doesn't have a choice, or he's gonna let Jason Tatum drive right past Karl-Anthony Towns, and Derek White's wide open for the 3. All right, so next we're gonna be looking at some Spain PNR, and just like in the Ram action breakdown, the Vergil screens / change the ankle screens are a really big part of getting Karl-Anthony Towns' feet moving, because again, like I said in the last breakdown, it makes Karl-Anthony Towns not only have to guard Jason Tatum, but he has to come over and then guard Jason Tatum. So while Jason Tatum's going downhill, whichever way he chooses, Karl-Anthony Towns has to move laterally, then try to guard Jason Tatum. So it's just so much more tougher that way. So of course, Spain PNR is a pick and roll in which a back screen is set on a ball screener's man. So Luke Cornett is the ball screener right here on OG Anunoby. Again, setting good screens on this fella right here is gonna do us wonders. And then most times you're gonna have the back screen on the ball screeners, man. Sometimes this guy just goes out to the 3-point line after that, or he sets the ghost screen right here and just goes out to the 3, or he'll actually set it and we actually get a roll from Luke Cornett. So what happens on this play, right? So you see the side that Luke Cornett starts on, right? He starts to this side of OG Anunoby, which means that Karl-Anthony Towns is expecting Jason Tatum to come on this side. When Luke Cornett changes the angle of the pick and roll, now you see what that does to Karl-Anthony Towns, right? He was in perfect position to be in his little drop coverage if the screen was set on this side of OG. Now that he changed it and now it's on this side, Tatum is going downhill. He has this whole lane to himself, and he can cross over, he can do whatever he wants to do. He can pump fake this pull-up 3, which is so prevalent in his game. And on this play, he goes this side, crosses over, and Sam Hauser, who was supposed to be setting his back screen on Karl-Anthony Towns, is just in perfect position as Jason Tatum crosses over to his side to take out 2 Knicks with this Gortat screen, and Tatum gets a dunk. Another point of emphasis for us in this series should be Kristaps Porzingis. He really struggled versus Orlando, in my opinion, due to the off-ball physicality and the switching defense they applied to us. He only averaged 12 points in that series, only shooting 11% from 3 on just 3 attempts and 35% from the field. But against the New York Knicks in the regular season, he was a completely different player. He averaged 6 points more than his regular season average, going from 19 to 25, and shooting 6 more threes a game than normal, totaling 11 per game and hitting 45% of them. The Knicks just are not as physical as Orlando Magic and don't switch as much. It seemed like every single time the Celtics rejected a screen in these games he played, he got a wide open look.
Porzingis, it's a 3, Lake Crows,
and his 6th assist here.
31 and 11 for Karl-Anthony Towns. Porzingis will drive and put on the brakes on a 15-footer and free throw shooter. Knocks him in. Holiday the other way. He has been playing well. He's healthy. It's Porzingis. Step back 3. Towns the close.
Come back for Jalen Brunson.
It's Porzingis who'll put up a 3. Makes a move. Open lane. No one came.
And just the overall off-ball pressure was very lax by the Knicks, and he was able to get a bunch of open looks. Celtics were able to run cover screens for him, elbow pin downs, and once he got his rhythm going, he was super effective and hitting a lot of deep threes.
6 of 24 with 3.
Coach tells him all the time, every single day is a puzzle. How can you make the
Average 24 points. Bridges 20.
Wow.
All right, so of course we have Hunt and Karl-Anthony Towns as a part of the killer ball offense, but Hunt and Jalen Brunson is a part of this too. And there's a lot of ways we can do this with Tatum as a screen. So this is a little bit different because with Karl-Anthony Towns, he'll be playing drop coverage. He'll be that drop big. So a lot of the attacking with Karl-Anthony Towns is going to be Tatum as a pick and roll handler. He's going to be doing them high ball screens, maybe some angle pick and roll stuff like that. But with Jalen Brunson, a lot of the action is going to be screening. So it's going to be Tatum or Jaylen Brown or somebody screening to get Brunson on them. And even if we don't get the switch avoidance by the Knicks ends up causing something to get open. So here, what will usually happen is that Tatum's defender, if he screens, they will hedge. So Jalen Brunson does not have to switch, and they can stop this handler just for a little bit so Brunson can get back to his man and they can get back to Tatum. But if the Celtics do the correct thing on offense and they get the ball to Jason Tatum while that's happening, stuff like this can happen. All right, so here we got some more switch avoidance by the Knicks, getting the Celtics a good look at a 3-ball by Derek White. So the Celtics are going to their angle pick and roll, high ball screen setup. Just in case this doesn't work, we got Luke Cornett here ready to screen for Jason Tatum and attack Karl-Anthony Towns in this drop. But here on the angle pick and roll, we got Jaylen Brown screening, trying to get Jalen Brunson switched onto him. Jalen Brunson does not want to switch this, so he's just going to keep going under on Derek White screens, and it ends up in a 3. And beyond all the screening actions to try to get Jalen Brunson switched on us, sometimes the Celtics would just inbound the ball and see that Jalen Brunson was the only one back, and they'll post him up, and they do this here, and Jaylen Brown gets a bucket. And of course, the Celtics have a lot of ways to get mismatches. They're really good at getting them with the killer whale pick and roll. But if you've been around my channel, you've seen this a couple times where the opposing guard gets a switch on our bigger person, right? So here we got Jalen Brunson switched on to Horford. And if that small guard shoots a three and he misses, that means that those two players, if our guy runs, those two players are going to be the first ones back on the opposite side. So Jalen Brunson shoots a three on Al Horford. He misses, but this turns into an easy transition post up by Al Horford, and we get a bucket. All right, so if you remember the first clip, I said that when Tatum screens, what will usually happen, of course, they don't want him switching onto Tatum. So what Tatum's defender is going to do a lot of times is he's going to hedge, make the ball handler stop for just a second or two so Brunson can get back to his man, and in this case, Bridges can get back to Tatum, right? So we saw how that happened in the first clip. Tatum ended up getting in the short roll and he ended up going to the free throw line. Watch what Tatum does here. Easy go screen. Now both of them are on Jalen Brunson. They end up running into each other. Tatum gets a wide open three. He just doesn't hit it. And of course, when you beat a coverage multiple times, the team should change it up. So they just end up switching here because the hedging didn't work. Tatum set the screen. They hedged. He got into the short roll. He set the screen the previous play. He did a ghost screen and they both ran into each other. He got a wide open attempt at a three. So this time they just switched and they delivered the results, even though the results is a Tatum layup. And something that we started to see in the last game was we're able to run the killer whale pick and roll on Mikal Bridges. To be fair, on the shots Tatum hit on him in this game, he played really solid defense. But to me, the plays where OG was fighting to not switch was telling me a lot. It told me that they lost trust in a guy they brung in to mirror our team. And that was a key takeaway for me. All right, welcome to the defensive side of the game plan. And if the regular season can tell us anything, this is what I think is going to happen. Now, of course, matchups can change throughout the game, throughout the series. If Jalen Brunson is going off and we just think that Jrue Holiday just doesn't have enough form, we've seen Jaylen Brown in the playoffs guard the opposing team's best player and try to use his size and his athleticism to get some steals and get out in transition. So don't harp on the star matchups too much, but this is what I think will happen. So the three most important ones is Jrue on Jalen Brunson, Kristaps on Josh Hart, which I think is almost a definite, Jason Tatum on Karl-Anthony Towns, right? And I'll tell you guys in some clips how these things work. Okay, so I have two clips that perfectly encapsulate the Celtics defensive game plan against the Knicks in the regular season, and a lot of it revolves around Josh Hart. What we want to do is leave Josh Hart to do whatever he wants on the offensive side of the ball. So if he wants to shoot the ball, if he wants to screen, he can do whatever he wants. Kristaps Porzingis' job is to play free safety off of Josh Hart. A lot of like pick and rolls where Josh Hart is the screener, especially out beyond the three-point line, the handler is going to have a really tough time scoring because we're going to send two to him. So you see Josh Hart sets the screen above the three-point line. Him popping means nothing to us. So Kristaps is not even worried about that. We're going to send two to Jalen Brunson. Kristaps is going to get him. Derek White, who got screened, is going to also trail him. So that's one proponent of the Josh Hart thing. If he screens, we're sending two at whoever that handler is. If it's like a campaign, we'll like shade over to him, but we're still going to leave Josh Hart so he can just shoot if they pass it back to him. But with a guy like Jalen Brunson, his pick and rolls, if Josh Hart is a screener, is going to be really hard for him. He still shoots great against us, but in the pick and roll situations with Josh Hart as a screener, he's going to see two people. Then right to the second part, right? So I talked about Tatum on Karl-Anthony Towns. A couple things that does is Karl-Anthony Towns sees a smaller guy on him, right? And it's like, oh, I need to post up. That's the traditional thing is, hey, you got a small on you, go post up. That is how we slice his threes in half. We take away his best skill, which is his shooting. He's one of the best shooting bigs of all time. We take away that because he has a small on him. But when Kristaps is playing free safety, now when Karl-Anthony Towns decides to post up, we're not guarding Josh Hart. So what is Kristaps doing? He's helping Jason Tatum the entire time, right? You see Hart is cutting. He's doing whatever he wants to do. Nobody's paying him any mind. And the Knicks are forced to take a tough shot. All right, so we have another great example. We had Luke Kornet right here guarding Josh Hart. We're going double big here with Al Horford on Cat and Luke Kornet on Josh Hart. And again, we don't pay Josh Hart any mind. So what is Luke Kornet going to do when he sees Jalen Brunson drive on Payton Pritchard? Yep, send two at him, right? So Jalen Brunson like has still been efficient in these matchups, but he's seeing two and we're doing everything that we can. And you see how Josh Hart is just roaming around, right? He's roaming around untouched. Like, he can do whatever he want to do. The Celtics are not paying him any mind. And then he ends up shooting this with 10 seconds left on the shot clock. That's his perfect game plan discipline. All right, here with another great example. Josh Hart is going to be the hub in this possession, and you can see just how much space Kristaps Porzingis is giving him. And again, it's just really tough on whoever the pick and roll handler is if he's setting the screen, especially if he's popping, because we're just not going to respect the pop. Kristaps Porzingis goes right with Karl Anthony Towns and he gets a block. And this is what we aim to do if the games ever get into clutch situations. Like, this is the purpose of it. Jalen Brunson is a clutch player of the year. Any chance that we get for him not to take a shot in the clutch time, fourth quarter, overtime, and have Josh Hart take that shot, especially as a jump shot, we're going to take that. So you see, he sets the screen, again, really high. He has no gravity in the pick and roll game. You see what Luke Kennard's doing. We're only worried about Jalen Brunson. And then Hart doesn't know if he wants to roll the pop because he just has to keep rescreening because he's not being checked. And then he ends up shooting that. And sometimes we can just elect to get the ball out of Brunson's hands just because of how he played Josh Hart. I would only like to see this in certain situations because it would allow Josh Hart to make out of the short roll, where I think he's good at. So just picking our spots with this is key. And of course, the best thing for the Celtics is for him to just take the threes we give him. We will close out to him with our hands down and dare him to shoot the ball because that's what we want. And the final thing on Josh Hart, we want him to shoot as many times as he wants to. The more shots he takes, the less shots that Brunson and Cat take. So in the 4 games that we played in, right, Hart in the regular season is 5th on the Knicks in field goal attempts per game with 10. In the 4 games that we played him, the first game he shot 4 for 6. It was a blowout. He only played 25 minutes, right? The second game he was 7 for 16. In the third game he was 8 for 14. In the fourth game he was 5 for 14. So 3 out of the 4 games we were able to have Josh Hart shoot at least 4 more times than he usually shoots. And in 2 of those games he was top 3 in shots attempted. So if Josh Hart is top 3 in field goal attempts in the game against us, we should feel really good about our defense. But that is the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, subscribe, and share it in everyone that you can. Just get out there a little bit more. And I will see you guys in the next video. This is Nick. Peace.